This week's astrology is giving cosmic chaos, but in the best possible way. Hi, my name is Haley Comet and welcome to Just Another Magic Monday. Yes, it is Just Another Magic Monday. This week we're talking about the astrology from Monday, May 20th to Sunday, May 26th, but you can be certain that regardless of whatever is happening within the cosmos above us, which, spoiler alert, there's a lot happening within this week's astrology that we'll be connecting on, I will be here guiding you into your weekly forecast. And beyond just letting you know the astrological weather report, here on Magic Monday, we really strive to empower you with ways that you can co-create with the cosmos in order to navigate your universe with maximum magic and alignment. And that is why it is called Magic Monday. And you can be certain that no matter what's happening with the planets, I'll be here to guide you into it every single week on my channel. So if you're into that, make sure to subscribe. But what's up in the air though is the background that I will be filming in front of. We'll discuss that in a moment. And something else that's up in the air is a lot of these planets, because we have 3 planets entering Gemini, and this is a distinct tonal change. Last week, we had 5 planets in Taurus, which has its gifts. It's slow, it's steady, it's intentional, it's patient, it's very anchored into the present moment. And now with 3 planets entering Gemini, there's a distinct shift towards the cerebral, towards the communicative, towards the curious when it comes to this week's astrology. So it is quite literally a breath of fresh air rushing into the cosmos and rushing into your week. There is a distinct shift where you may feel a little bit more social. You may feel a little bit more logical. It's okay, there's just a cord. Okay, yes, good job. And the thing about Gemini energy is that it's very vocal, and Midnight, just my co-host, wanted to make sure that we heard his truth, which needed to be heard. We'll talk about it in the Cosmic Café session, where I'm at and why there's a cat, but a cat's here, you're gonna hear it meow. And honestly, when a lot of planets are shifting into Gemini, you're gonna hear a lot of talking and meowing. A lot of noise is sort of par for the course when it comes to Gemini energy. There's a lot more communication, there's a lot more chattiness, there's a lot more connectivity. So much energy in Gemini, there is a nudge this week around really wanting our voice or our meows to be heard, really wanting to connect and communicate with the world around us. And out of the 3 planets that are entering into Gemini, there is one that is settling in for the long haul. Jupiter will enter Gemini this Saturday, May 25th, where it'll stay for the next year. And while Jupiter does not like being in this territory of the sky, it is important, especially when we talk about co-creative astrology, because Jupiter is the planet of luck. It's the planet of abundance. It's the planet of manifestation. So the sign that Jupiter is transiting, as well as the sector of your chart that it's transiting, is important, particularly when you're contemplating where it is that you want to grow, where it is that you want to expand, and potentially within these Gemini themes, where it is that you want to expand your network, where it is that you want to expand your voice, where it is that you want to expand your knowledge base. We look to Jupiter to really understand what within our life we can co-create with in order to expand into. So with Jupiter entering Gemini this week, the unique brand of luck that we're able to work with is shifted. And with this shift, fortune favors the communicative, the curious, and the comedic. So we'll talk about everything you need to know about that transit. In addition to all of this Gemini energy, we have a Sagittarius full moon on Thursday. We have Venus aligning with Jupiter, which is a lot of fun, but a bit excessive. And we also have Jupiter sextile Neptune. So there is lots of magic to be found within this week's astrology. It's a little hectic, it's a little chaotic. I'll guide you through thematic as well as day by day. But let's go ahead and take it into our Cosmic Café. So Cosmic Café is a segment here on Magic Monday where we chit-chat about what it is that we are sipping on and any other elephants in the room that we need to address, aka where am I, who's midnight, what's going on. Let's start with my beverage. So I am drinking this clean collagen and prebiotics drink, and I love it because 50% of the net profits support addiction recovery. It says that it's jitter-free. If you watch Magic Monday, you know I'm a little jittery. My vibe is a little all over the place, so perhaps this drink will be helpful for that. It claims I'll have a happier gut, and it gives me some skin, joint, hair support. Who doesn't love that? And I'd like to thank my mom for this drink because it was in her fridge. So I'm currently at my parents' house. I'm cat sitting their cat, Midnight, whom you met in the intro. This week's astrology is giving... What is it giving? Tell him, Midnight. okay. Yeah. And then what happens? And last week's astrology was all about being open to miracles. And the day of the Uranus Cazimi, I had such a miraculous breakthrough with Midnight. Midnight has been my parents' cat for many years now, but they rescued Midnight when I had just moved away from home down to San Diego. So me and Midnight never really existed in the same house at the same time. So like when I would come back during breaks to visit my parents, the vibe that Midnight gave me was very much like, who the heck are you? You're in my turf. You're taking the attention away from my humans. Like the vibe was very tenuous. The vibe was not harmonious. I never once had a nice interaction with Midnight. Sometimes Midnight would let me pet his head, and I'd always tried to get closer to Midnight, but it just never really worked out. And fast forward to now, many years later, my parents are out of town and they asked me to come up here to cat sit, which I was pretty nervous about because I was like, that cat hates me. Midnight does not like me at all, but a genuine catship has been formed. We've really genuine bonded. We have a really nice routine. Midnight asks me to go outside at 5 a.m. I let him out. I go back to sleep. I wake up. I feed him breakfast. We sit outside for a little bit. He sits on my lap. He likes it when I sit outside and read for a little bit with him. And then I go about my day. And then in the evening time, he really likes to sit on my lap while we're watching some show or watching some movie. And then we go to sleep. And then the cycle repeats, and we're just settling into this really nice vibe, Midnight and I. It feels like such a genuine connection, but who knows? My parents aren't back yet, and I'm really scared that Midnight's gonna switch up on me. Like the moment that my parents come back, Midnight's gonna be like, who are you? And going back to ignoring me and allowing me a head pet on a good night. So we'll see. But the Uranus Cazimi was the day that Midnight jumped on my lap on the outside chair after I had fed him breakfast. And I was like, what a breakthrough. This cat has never jumped on my lap. This cat has never let me pet him in all of these years. So miracles happened. And now Midnight is our guest host for Magic Monday. So thank you, Midnight. I think Midnight's a little peeved because this is the time that we're typically scheduled to be watching a show. Or watching a movie on my lap. So Midnight's a little peeved, so you may hear some meows every so often, but you know, the magic must go on. And you know what else must go on is our intaking of information. With so much of the cosmos entering the curious air sign Gemini this week, you may find that you're more inclined to be listening to audiobooks and YouTube videos and podcasts. And I have just the thing for all of your listening needs, and that is the Raycon Everyday Earbuds. I want to thank Raycon for sponsoring this week's Magic Monday and for making these magical earbuds that are my absolute favorite, and here's why. So firstly, we know the energy of Gemini. It's quite noisy. There's a lot of talking, there's a lot of information. We've got a full moon this week. Things can feel a little chaotic. And it's helpful sometimes to just be able to dull out the noise and tune into your favorite educational podcast or your favorite song, what have you. And the upgraded model of the Raycon Everyday Earbuds now feature active noise cancellation. So you are able to just tune into what it is that you are listening to if you are feeling overstimulated by everything that is happening around you. And not only are the sound quality on these absolutely divine, but they're also so sleek and so stylish. They come in all of these fab colors. I got the purple, of course, you could tell by my sweatshirt. This is one of my favorite colors. I feel so chic when I'm on one of my long walks with my purple earbuds in my ears, in my own world. I love how comfortable they feel in my ears. They have gel tip, so it helps to fit within your ears regardless of whatever ear shape or size you're working with. They're ergonomically designed to fit into your ear comfortably. And you know, Gemini is the sign of the twins, the sign of two. And what I also love about these earbuds is that there's multi-point connectivity. So you're able to connect with two devices at once, which just makes my life a lot more seamless. So I love to use my Raycon Everyday Earbuds when I'm editing my YouTube videos, also when I go on my long nature walks. If you watch Magic Monday, you know that my bliss is me out on the trail amongst nature, listening to my favorite songs or my favorite educational podcasts. Now it's so much of the cosmos in Gemini, and I just love to do that with my Raycon Everyday Earbuds. These are always the ones that I grab to when I'm on my walks because I like to go with a hat a lot of times or sunglasses, and it just makes it easy, not have to deal with a cord or not have to put it over my head with like the big over the ear one. So these are always my go-to when editing, when on my walks. It's never been a more aligned time to invest within your Raycon everyday earbuds. It is an upgraded model. The past model sold over 3 million earbuds, and now they've made it even better with the active noise cancellation. But if you would like to get 20% off your Raycon earbuds, you can use the link within my description or go to buyraycon.com/HaleyComet. A reminder that your purchase does directly support the channel, so thank you so much. And thank you, Raycon, for sponsoring this week's episode of Magic Monday, keeping the magic going, and more importantly, keeping the music playing, the audiobooks playing, the podcast playing within my ears when I'm on my long walks. I am so grateful. But without further ado, let's go ahead and take it into Vibe Check of the Week. So what is Vibe Check of the Week, you may be asking? Great question. Keep those questions coming. It's Gemini season. It's the time to be curious. But Vibe Check of the Week is a segment that we do here on Magic Monday where we essentially bring the stars down to planet Earth. We translate astrology speak to regular speak. So rather than saying, Sun trines Pluto and we have a full moon in Sagittarius and Jupiter enters Gemini this week, we say, hey, have you ever had a situation like this? Have you felt like this before? Have you been to a party like this? When it comes to this week's Vibe Check, because our hypothetical scenario of what this week's astrology feels like is it feels like a party. But not your typical party, not your typical boring soiree. This feels like one of those very hectic, crazy, chaotic parties where there's a lot going on. It's lots of fun, but there's a lot of gossip. There's a lot of subplots. There's a lot of side quests. There's just a lot happening. I know. I'm sorry. I'm almost done. Actually, I shouldn't lie. I'm only doing Vibe Check. We still have a lot of astrology to get through. Not me lying to the cat. I'm sorry. I know. So you walk into this party and there are a lot of people, right? And there's also like a lot of interesting characters that are here. You're like, oh, I had a talking stage with that person. Ooh, I had beef with that person in 4th grade. Oop, that person, owes me money from a couple of years ago. Like, it's nothing like crazy drama, but there's just like some interesting people at this party. And there's like a lot of just kind of gossip and tea swirling around the party. Like, oh my gosh, did you hear that couple is making out? Did you hear this? Oh, did you hear that? There's just a lot of chit-chat at this party. And when you get there, you realize that your phone is at 8% and you're like, oh no, that will not do. I need to be able to call my Uber tonight. So you go on this side quest of trying to find a charger. And as you're trying to find a charger, you just keep getting pulled in to all of these conversations, and everybody's telling you tea, or everybody's pulling you on their side quests around, where I can find ice, or we need lemonade to make this particular drink. Like, you're trying to stay focused, but you keep getting distracted. People are pulling you into different conversations, and it's like fun. You're flirting. There's someone there that you used to talk to and it like never went anywhere, but you're feeling really cute. You're feeling really confident. So you flirt a little with them, and then you kind of like float over here and you flirt a little with this person that you met. It's just like a fun, chaotic vibe. And you keep getting distracted. You're like, oh, I'm meant to be finding a charger. But then you meet someone cute and you're talking to them, or you meet someone you haven't seen in a year and you're talking to them. Like, it's very hard to stay focused, but you're having a lot of fun. It's like chaotic. Somebody broke a lamp, somebody spilled, you can't find a charger. Like, things are certainly happening, but there's just this hedonistic, fun vibe of this party. There's just a lot going on, and you're here for the chaos. You're here for the tea. You're here for the gossip. You're here for the flirting. You're here for it all. So why does this week's astrology feel like a hectic party? I'm not saying all of us will go to a hectic party, although you gotta admit, sounds kind of fun, doesn't it? I most certainly will not. It'll just be me and midnight, but nevertheless, why does this week's astrology feel like this? So firstly, we have a full moon, and full moons are sort of the time when we are wanting to turn up. Like, our emotions can feel more heightened. That's why people at this house party, someone was crying over their ex, making out with someone over there. Like, emotions are running high, but also with the energy of Sagittarius, our desire to have fun is running high. Things are a little rowdy. Someone broke a lamp. There's like a drinking game happening over there. Like, there's a lot going on, right? And with the energy of the full moon in Sagittarius, we're wanting to enjoy. We're wanting to have some fun. We're wanting to laugh with so much of this energy in Gemini. And that kind of like hedonistic vibe, why you were looking cute at the party, okay, why you were flirting with everyone, is because we have Venus aligning with Jupiter this week. So there's this real desire on wanting to enjoy life. This alignment happens in Taurus, so you might find that this comes through less so in a party context, but more so in an eating context, more so in a cooking context, more so in a shopping context. There's just this energy around really wanting to indulge in the sweetness of life. And there's this moment while you're you're at this party where you're just like, this is going to be a crazy memory one day. Like, you know those parties where you're at where you're just like, this is going to be a story that we tell around, remember that party when this happened and then this gossip and there was this subplot. Like, it's just one of those things that you remember even amidst the chaos. And that's sort of the energy of Jupiter sextile Neptune. You know, there's a certain sprinkle of magic and synchronicity over this week, which is sort of threaded into the vibe check around, oh, I haven't seen that person in years, or at a talking stage with this person, yet we're all here together. Is there a meaning in this? And I think part of the energy that makes parties so fun, and this week's astrology is so fun, is that there's like this whisper or this feeling around anything can happen. You know, when you like walk into a party like that and you're like, anything could happen. You know, I could end this night making out with that person. I could end this night potentially in a fight with that person who owes me money. Like, anything could happen, right? And the energy of Gemini is we're feeling more curious around what could happen. You know, last week we had Mercury and Taurus squaring Pluto. So we were looking out at the future through this lens of fear around what could happen, and fearing the future, ruminating over the past. But the energy of Gemini Sun trine Pluto is we're finding our power this week when we're just like curious to find out. We're like, I don't know what this party has in store. I don't know what my life has in store, but I'm curious to find out. I'm open to the journey. I'm open to, you know, socialize and connect with whoever it is I connect here. I might end the night eating pancakes with my besties at 4 a.m. I might end the night with a new bae. I might end the night in a fight. We just don't know. And I'm open to find out. There's like a very curious, fun, lighthearted vibe with the energy of Gemini. And even if you're not at a party, there's like an energy of the Gemini Sun trining Pluto, where it's like you're just allowing yourself to feel curious around what comes ahead. Like where it is that you are going to transform, where it is that you are going to evolve, where your story will take you, right? And rather than needing to know the details, which could have been an energy we were in last week with Mercury and Taurus squaring Pluto, there's like this energy around, I'm open to find out. It's just like this curious, lighthearted approach around, where will this night take me? Where will my life take me? Where will this connection take me? There's this openness to life, because one thing's for sure, with 30 planets in Gemini answering to Mercury, the planet of the trickster, life most certainly has some tricks and surprises up its sleeve. And the energy of Gemini, we're open to it. We're open to laugh about it. We're open to find the lesson in it. We're open to connect with new people as we are on our quest towards meaning with the energy of the full moon in Sagittarius. And so we will deepen the nuances of this week's vibe check, as well as give you all of the information of what you need to know about the week of astrology that you are stepping into. But before we do, I just want to say that I'm located on the West Coast of the United States. So I utilize the time zone PDT within my readings. So please adjust to your time zone if you are located elsewhere within this world. I also want to highlight that I do have a tendency to talk fast, and you know, Gemini season, that's certainly not going to help. So please feel free to utilize the gear icon to slow me down, to speed me up, to align my rate of speaking with your rate of listening. And I've also included timestamps below for your convenience, so you can find that within the description. But without further ado, let's go ahead and take it into the astrology for Monday, May 20th. So welcome to your forecast for Monday, May 20th. Happy Monday, happy Magic Monday, or happy Mercurial Monday, we should say, because at 6 a.m., the sun will enter the Mercury ruled sign Gemini, kicking off Gemini season for all of the twins. And I just want to say here, happy birthday to all of my Geminis. We adore you for your witty banter, for your perpetual openness to new information, for your insightful questions that you ask, for the fun facts that you just sprinkle into conversation like it's nothing, for your mischievous approach. I just feel like every time you're around a Gemini placement, you're having fun, you're learning something new, and life just feels a little bit more exciting, because if you can open your eyes and learn something new, that makes every day an adventure. So thank you, Gemini placements, for being you, for adding a little mischief to the cosmos. We adore you so much. And what we can all expect during Gemini season is definitely there's a desire to socialize. Like, there's a reason why this week's vibe check is a party, right? Like, you may find that you're more inclined to want to connect. Like last week, you may have found that you were craving more rest, right? You were a little bit more sleepy with so much of the cosmos in Taurus. You could have felt a little bit more in the mood to kind of like mind your business, protect your peace. And now with the energy of Gemini season, we're wanting to connect, we're wanting to socialize. And you could feel this on social media. You could be going through your texts and like finally replying back to people. You could be wanting to make plans. There's just a vibe where you're like, okay, I protected my peace, I was deep in my self-care, and now I'm ready to get out into the world, right? Like the weather is getting warmer, at least here in the Northern Hemisphere. I'm ready to socialize, right? I'm ready to connect. So there definitely could be a more social energy coming in this week, especially with Venus entering Gemini on Thursday as well. And the sun ingressing into Gemini may be a breath of fresh air, quite literally, other than the moon who's in Libra for the first portion of Monday, as well as Pluto and Aquarius. We really don't have that much air within the cosmos. We have a lot of Earth and we have Mars in Aries. And when we don't have a lot of air in the cosmos, it can get a little stuffy. Like the energy of more and more of the cosmos going to Gemini is kind of like opening the windows. It's letting some fresh air in. And by fresh air, I mean new perspectives, new contemplations, as well as an ability to be a little removed from your experience. And what I mean by that is that air is about perspective. With so much of the cosmos and Earth, we could have felt very rooted within our own experience, within our own frustrations. And now with more and more of the cosmos entering Gemini, we may be more open to contemplate other perspectives. Like the energy of Gemini is around duality. So there's this energy around, okay, on one hand, I'm frustrated and the situation is annoying, but on the other hand, it's kind of funny. Or being able to go to someone else for advice and being able to contemplate like, this is how I feel, but this is how this other person views it. It's like this energy around being able to step out of how it is that you personally feel about a situation to either logically review the facts of the situation or to be open to other people's perspectives on it, which can feel refreshing. You can literally feel like there's more airflow moving around, like things don't feel as stagnant or as heavy. And you may find this week with more and more of the cosmos entering Gemini that you're able to be a little bit more light with life. It doesn't mean that the situation doesn't suck or what it is that you are moving through doesn't suck, but the energy of Gemini asks, what am I learning from this situation? Or what's another perspective that I can contemplate? Or can I laugh at this situation, right? If anything's just so I don't cry, right? So I can laugh at the absurdity of the shenanigans of what's happening within my world. Or can I make it a funny bit? You know, can I tell a funny story from it? Sometimes the inconveniences of life, if you're able to entertain the group chat, it just makes it worth it. Like there's just an energy where something that could have felt very heavy last week with the energy of Gemini season, we're able to potentially laugh about it. We're able to talk about it. Maybe we're able to shrug about it. We're able to consider another perspective on it. We're able to interact with life a little bit more playfully, or at least feeling a little bit more lighter or open to what it is that we can learn. Because ultimately, Gemini season reminds us that if we are learning, we are living. So if possible, take the data, take the lesson, and potentially with all this air energy, keep it moving, right? Keep it blowing. I don't know, air analogy, who knows? But what I want to say is that on Monday particularly, you may not totally be feeling this energy just because of the lunar aspect, so let's talk about it. So the first portion of the day, we have a void moon in Libra. So from the beginning of the day till around 3:33 p.m. PDT. And if you watch Magic Monday, you may know that when the moon is void, important tasks we must avoid. So you definitely might not be feeling very productive. And what's the culprit for your lack of productivity? It's going to be a lack of focus and also just connecting and chatting with different individuals, because the moon is an air sign, the sun is an air sign. We're wanting to connect, we're wanting to gab, we're wanting to chit chat, we're wanting to gossip. Listen, that's the downside of all this Gemini energies. There definitely could be more gossip or more tea circulating, right? That was definitely alive within the vibe check at the party. But that's definitely giving the energy of when you finally go through your phone and decide to like reply to everybody, or when you finally like go to your DMs that you've been, ignoring because it was Taurus season, you were protecting your peace and you're like, I need to reply. Or when you think of someone, you're like, I haven't hung out with that person. Like, I need to make plans. Like, there's this energy with Gemini season where we're wanting to like get outside. Like, we're wanting to socialize. We're wanting to connect. You might feel this boost of energy around social media. Like that could be kind of your energy suck. And the first portion of the day is that you're losing hours of your life just deep on TikTok. You could find you're just like chit-chatting on your phone, catching up with people, finally replying to everyone, and then they're replying back and you're like, gosh, now I have to start over from square one. You could be involved in different group chats. There could just be a lot of chatting going on. Even at work, you could find like coworkers are pulling you aside around, hey, can you help me with this? Or hey, did you hear about Lydia over here? There definitely will just be kind of a lot of communication in the cosmos in the first portion of the day. And let's just say it, there's a reason why in the vibe check, you had a mission to find your charger, and it was quite a struggle. Gemini as a sign, and again, love Geminis so much, but as a sign, we just need to say it, can sometimes struggle with focus. It's very much kind of the squirrel energy of a sign. And so we can find that we're also just getting very easily distracted, whether it's by other people, whether it's by, dings and alerts on our phone, whether it's from like side quests at the party. We could definitely find we're being a little bit more distracted. And honestly, with the void moon, sometimes we can feel a little bit more tired. So luckily, all the Gemini placements are answering to Mercury and Taurus, which does help us take on things piece by piece. And, we can't necessarily pause life when the moon's void. So I would just say, have your list so that when you have a squirrel moment, when you get pulled away from your coworker, when the group chat is blowing up, when you're trying to curate the perfect Spotify playlist so that you can start your work, you can come back to the list and be like, what am I doing? Oh, I'm doing this. What am I doing? Oh, I'm trying to find a charger. Like, it's helpful to have those reminders around, what am I doing? Okay, let me focus. And then at 3:34 p.m., the moon enters Scorpio, which then it goes on to square Pluto around 7:33 p.m. And so this is giving overthinking station, okay? Because that's the other downside about Gemini season that we need to be real around, is that there's going to be a lot more activity. There's a lot more thoughts. There's a lot more input. There's a lot more conversations, and there's a lot more happening within you. And you may find that in the latter portion of the day, there is a tendency to be overthinking. And with this energy, I would say it's very helpful to give your brain food. Give it something that it can munch on. And I don't mean just aimlessly scrolling. Like, the energy of Gemini Sun wants to explore wide, learn a lot about a little, and the energy of Moon and Scorpio wants to go deep. So this is giving energy around diving into a documentary or listening to a podcast on a new topic or watching a video essay on YouTube. Like, give your brain some helpful brain food for it to munch on, particularly if you're noticing that you're ruminating, you're obsessing, your brain's going to places that you're like, there's no good that's going to come from me overanalyzing that awkward thing that it said at work from 3 different angles. Like, enough. At this point, enough. Because honestly, one of the most helpful things for me in my healing journey has been reading. And not even reading, nonfiction or self-improvement or things that could better my life. I mean, that's all well and good, but I've been reading a lot of novels. And the reason it's been so helpful for my healing journey isn't like the content of the novels, it's just the very act of a vacation from my brain. I think that can be helpful because to a certain degree, yes, we need to feel the feels and allow yourself to feel the feels on Monday. With the energy of Scorpio, Moon, square Pluto, we could be feeling things intensely. And sometimes it helps us to just allow ourselves to process and to move through it. But if you come to a place where you're like, okay, I have analyzed this person's behavior from every potential angle. I have thought about every possible way that that situation could have unfolded. And I've also contemplated every other way that our future could have unfolded as well. Like, it gets to a certain space where you have exhausted every potential way of viewing the situation, every potential emotion tied to the situation, and your brain is like going in this loop that's not even giving you great feelings when you go there. There's a reason why all of like the breakup advice people will say you've got to keep yourself busy. You have to keep yourself busy. And it's common to think about someone a lot or anything else that's concerning or weighing you down within your world. It's natural for you to think about it a lot, maybe obsess about it and ruminate it. It's natural. But there's a reason why everyone says it's important to stay busy and it's important to distract your brain. There was a podcast, I don't remember where I heard this, but it was talking about how when we get very obsessive or we're kind of like ruminating over someone or we're like missing someone a lot or things of that nature, it's kind of like that energy of when a dog will sniff the shirt of its owner just to feel that temporary relief, right, of their owner. And it's like their owner isn't there, but like sniffing the shirt kind of gives them this false sense of relief that they are. But then it like kind of hits them around, oh, my owner's not here, which can in turn increase those feelings of disappointment or worry or what have you. And basically this individual was saying that oftentimes when we're like ruminating or obsessing over someone, we do the same thing. It's not so much sniffing of a shirt, but we replay memories or we replay a situation because we miss that person and we want whatever version of them we've conjured within our mind, even if it creates pain. Because when we're obsessing over someone, we continue to acknowledge, oh, this person isn't here. This person isn't here. We like rehash these memories or we contemplate what what went wrong or the same situation from multiple angles. And maybe in that moment, it gives us relief because we're like, oh, I like this person in my brain, right? Like this person's essence. I want it to be this person, but it ends up creating more pain than good. Because after that momentary relief of, sniffing the shirt or replaying the memories, then the realization comes around, oh, but this person's not really here. I'm just dealing with a projection of them. And when something's not in our life, we can make it so much better. We can make it so much better, right? Because we don't have the real thing in our life within our mind, within these loops. We can like put that person on a pedestal, or maybe it's not necessarily a person that you're obsessing about. Maybe it's like, a house that you really wanted that didn't work out, or a certain friendship that didn't pan out, or whatever it is that you're moving through. When it's not there within our reality and we're hyper fixated on, I wanted it to work out and it didn't work out, we can just like blow it up within our mind. We make it so much more romantic and so much more aligned than it would be in real life. And again, it pains us when it's not there and we've like glorified it to be something that it's not, but we can't help it. We keep returning back and sniffing that shirt, even if there's this crushing devastation around, gosh, this person's not here and this house didn't work out and this friendship didn't work out. But we've learned to self-soothe by perpetually revisiting these memories or these certain thought loops, even if ultimately it's creating more harm than good. So that's why everyone says it's important to keep your mind busy or to create some new safe spaces within your mind, within your real life, of things that really enrich you and enliven you, because it can be so tempting to have these like places that we go to or these shirts that we sniff where it just gives us that temporary kind of like dopamine rush or that temporary, hit of the fantasy of how things could have been or how they should have been or what have you. But nevertheless, it's not real. It's not here. And it creates more harm than good if it's not here. And so it's helpful to distract your brain. It's helpful to give your brain some brain food, especially if you keep noticing, you keep sniffing that gosh darn shirt, or you keep revisiting what's not alive within your universe rather than what is. And it's helpful to just have a vacation from your brain in those instances. It's helpful to lose yourself within a book. It's helpful to lose yourself within a class. It's helpful to listen to an educational podcast. It's just helpful to get some new brain food into your brain. And if anybody's like very fresh in this journey, I get it. It's so hard to not think about that person or that situation. It's like always in the back of your mind, but you have to just continue to enrich your mind in other ways, especially with all this busy mercurial energy. Like give yourself some brain food of things that are not hurting you and that is enriching your life here and now. And so I'd also say, just in case this is something that someone is moving through, being intentional around reaching out to people, like the people within your real life who are here and showing up for you, could be so easy. Let's say if we want a partner or we want something within our life that's not here, it could be easy to kind of like hyperfixate on the lack of connection that we have, but like really revisit, have I been nurturing my connections? Have I been reaching out to make friends? Like it's important to tune into the abundance rather than the scarcity. And I get it, when there's like a scarcity of romantic love, we could feel like my life is loveless and there's none of it, but it's important to tune into the abundance of love that does exist around you, whether that's showing up within friendship contexts or even just being able to walk down to the coffee shop and engage in small talk with someone else. Like it's important to tune into the connectivity that is alive within your experience now. Like energetically, that helps you pull in more connections to you when you focus on the connections that are alive within your universe now, rather than focusing on, gosh, I wish I had somebody to, enjoy my life with, or gosh, I wish I had that best friend within my life. Observe the connections that are showing up within your life. Maybe it's online, maybe it's at the coffee shop down the street, maybe it's friends, but that also can be helpful for some brain food. So just some food for thought. I would just say Monday night, important to stay busy. We could definitely be feeling the feels with the Scorpio moon square Pluto. We are building to a full moon, so keep in mind, this full moon, it's fun. Okay, but it definitely could be a little chaotic. With the Scorpio moon, we definitely could be processing or allowing certain emotions to come to the surface. So feel them if they're asking to be felt, but if you're in that space where you've ruminated on the situation from every particular angle, you've overthought every possible way that this could go down, consider giving yourself some new perspectives, consider reading, consider listening to a podcast, considering getting lost in a documentary, like really give your brain some new content to munch on. So on Tuesday, May 21st, the only aspect all day is that the Scorpio moon will oppose Mercury in Taurus around 7:18 a.m. And with this aspect, you may feel a bit of this teeter-totter energy around the heart and the head, what you feel and what makes sense. And the best way that I can paint a picture of this energy is to take it back to the vibe check. So you pull yourself away from a conversation with someone that you somewhat know to go try to find the charger. You're at 3% now. And as you're on your way over, you hear above the pounding music some sobs and sniffles. And you see that it's an acquaintance of yours who is hysterically crying, like on the ground, waiting for the bathroom, just sobbing. And you're like, well, I obviously need to ask her what's going on. So you do just that. And this individual informs you that her boyfriend was making out with a friend of hers at this party, and she is just devastated. And so you, being an outsider to this situation, being an impartial observer, like you don't have a horse in this race. You're not invested in this person's relationship. You're not invested in this person's friendship. So just reviewing the facts and the logic of the situation, that's Mercury. You're like, that person did you a favor. Like, why would you want to be with someone who would kiss someone else at a party, your friend at that point? Like, why would you want to be with a person like that? Like, if anything, the universe did you a favor by showing you who that person was. And that gives you the clearance to move on. And that person is a loser anyway. Like, you could do so much better. Like, you are so hot. You're so amazing. You're so kind. Like, you're going to be just fine. You're in the Mercury, just reviewing the facts and the logistics of the situation. But you could tell someone that, and I'm sure you've had conversations like that with your friends all day long around, you could do so much better, or you need to leave the situation, or that person is a piece of trash, or what have you. But it doesn't always get through to the heart space, and it doesn't always get to the emotions, right? Because this individual who's sobbing is in that Scorpio moon of it around, but I love him, right? And it's hard to apply logic to, our heartstrings ripping open, right? It's hard to apply logic when we feel like our world as we know it is crumbling, right? Because we built this world around this person who was just making out with someone else at this party. Like, what the heck? We could say the facts of the situation all day long, but she's going to feel how it is that she's going to feel. And even though it doesn't make sense logically, the heart wants what it wants. And it's hard in rectifying what makes sense in the situation, but I so wanted it to be this person, or I so wanted it to be this, or I'm so sad about this, even though logically, I shouldn't, I know it's going to be okay. I know that person was actually a loser. Logistically, there were a couple of red flags that I've been ignoring. Logistically, I know that, but dang, it hurts. So it's yes, with the energy of Gemini, it can be helpful to embolden logic in order to process our own situations. But I just feel on Tuesday, there could be this battle between, your emotions and what logically makes sense. You could just feel pulled in two directions around, well, logically, I know that that person wasn't good for me, but gosh, I loved them. And it's not saying you need to rectify this battle between the heart and the mind all on Tuesday, but you just might find that your intuition pulls you in one direction and your mind pulls you in the other. You might find when you review the facts of the situation, it tells you one thing, but when you review your heart, it tells you another. And you could just struggle in kind of rectifying the two and finding the balance between the two. But what I would say would be very helpful is journaling, is writing down what it is that you're moving through, the intense emotions that you are feeling. Because sometimes when we just allow our heart to pour out and then we read back what it is that we wrote, it allows us to have that detached perspective. Like I said, more and more the cosmos entering air, we're more able to find that perspective, right? Because water, moon, we're just fully in the emotions, we're fully in the heartache, or I don't mean to scare anyone about this week's astrology. The energy of Scorpio moon, you could just be feeling something intensely, right? Journaling around it could help you kind of see outside of the situation, almost like air, just being able to detach around it, gosh, look at this journal entry, look at this situation, look at this person who has everything going for them, sobbing over somebody who is making out with somebody else at this party, who treats them horribly regardless, who does A, B, and C, whatever the story is. It's just observing, being as impartial as possible. It helps you review the facts of the situation around, I'm allowed to feel upset about this, I'm allowed to grieve over this, I'm allowed to feel my feels about it. But when you review it, when you see it in words, when you linearly process it, sometimes it can help you draw conclusions that you would not have considered previously. And sometimes allowing your heart to pour out and reviewing the facts of what it is that you've highlighted helps you to draw conclusions that you would not have previously considered. Because in that situation and telling, this drunk sobbing girl around, it's going to be okay, you could do so much better. Maybe a lot of that might fall on deaf ears, but there can be parts of it where it's oh, I didn't contemplate that. And sometimes, we are the drunk sobbing girl of the party, right? Sometimes that's us where we're moving through something where we're just having these really big and intense reactions. And sometimes we have to be that role of the person who finds the drunk, sobbing girl at the party and is able to talk some sense into her. Sometimes we have to do that for ourselves. And I think journaling is a great way to do that. I also remember when I was really going through it a couple years ago, I would like open Photo Booth on my computer and chat through what was happening, because I was starting to like doubt my own mind, and I was starting to like doubt my own perspective around, should I be feeling this way? Was this messed up? Was it not messed up? That I literally had to film myself talking and like listen to it back in order for me to be able to process it as a big picture. Because sometimes when you're in the middle of it, it's so messy that you're like, I don't know how I feel. I don't know if that was messed up. I don't know if I should be with this person. I don't know if I could believe my boyfriend at this party when they say that they just like tripped and fell into this girl that they're kissing at the party. Like, I don't know what to believe. And sometimes when we journal about it and are able to read it from a detached perspective, or film ourselves talking about it, or also like voice memo can be helpful when we listen back to ourselves. Sometimes we're able to step out of, the emotional messiness of it all in order to just hear the words and hear the data and hear the logic of a situation that might help us in emotionally processing. Again, it doesn't take the pain away, but sometimes it can help us either feel validated around, no, I'm allowed to feel upset. That was messed up. You were making out with someone else at that party. Or being able to review, I'm grieving this relationship, but overall reviewing it, there was a lot wrong with our relationship. There was a red flag or 12 that I had missed. And so while I'm sad and while that was a betrayal, I do see logistically I will be better off. And so there's just something coming through around that on Tuesday. But overall, I would say that when you're at work or things of that nature, with the energy of Moon, Mercury, there can be a danger around allowing your emotions to affect your words, right? And it might be misplaced. Like there could be an energy where you kind of just had a bad morning, and then your first client of the day, they have a really complicated request, and you accidentally are a little more sharp with your language than you mean to be. And it's like not about them. It's just like, but I spilled coffee and it took forever to get here, and I'm so tired and I don't want to be here, right? And sometimes with the energy of Scorpio Moon opposite Mercury, that could be like impacting our words or even our emails. So just important to be mindful of that. Important to just check in with your emotions to ensure it's not like kind of bleeding through what it is that you're saying. And again, really checking on that balance between the heart and the mind, and striving to, yes, live your life in the heartfelt, loving way that you do, but check in with the mind every so often. Check in on the logistics, find that detachment if necessary in order to review the facts of the situation. So on Wednesday, May 22nd, highlight of the day is that the Gemini sun will trine Pluto in Aquarius around 8 a.m. And this to me feels like a direct answer from last week's Mercury in Taurus square Pluto, because last week's Mercury in square Pluto was this energy around either fearing the future or ruminating on the past, right? And the energy of all the Taurus energy was like, okay, just be here now, but we could have felt like our mind was being pulled in either direction around obsessing around what's going to happen, or ruminating on, I should have done this, or if only things had gone differently here, or what have you. And the energy of the Gemini sun trine Pluto is almost this answering to that energy, where before we were freaking out around what's going to happen in the future and I should have done things differently in the past. The energy of the Gemini sun trine Pluto is just being open to the current step of the journey that we are in. If you found that you've been in that energy around, gosh, I should have done this differently, or I should have chose differently here, or even in micro ways around ruminating around, why did I say that at the meeting? That was so weird. Or gosh, I was so awkward at that party. Why did I have that conversation with that individual in the kitchen? Like that was so awkward. Like beating yourself up, ruminating around all of the ways that it could have gone, or all of the decisions that you could have made, or all of the potential realities that you could be living had you made a different choice. But the thing is, that didn't happen. Like the cookie crumbled as it did. And the energy of Gemini sun trine Pluto in Aquarius is being able to alchemize the situation and mine it for the lesson and keep it moving is kind of the energy. Because Gemini season is if you're learning, you're living. And the energy of Gemini sun trine Pluto in Aquarius is being able to revisit that situation, as major, as minor as it was, and say, at least I learned something. Because when we can look back on experiences and review what it is that we learned from it, we transform our relationship to it. It doesn't mean that it didn't suck. It doesn't mean that it wasn't uncomfortable. It doesn't mean that it was pleasant to live through. But when we're able to transmute it into a lesson, either for ourselves, maybe even sharing it with others, we diminish its power over us, right? And we become more powerful as a result. It's like you can ruminate all day long around what you should have done or how things should have unfolded, but likely if they would have unfolded that way, you wouldn't have learned the lessons necessary to be who it is that you are now. And the energy of Gemini Sun trine Pluto is like honoring, hey, it was messy. Hey, I made decisions I wasn't proud of. Hey, I said some awkward comments at that meeting. But with all of those experiences, I'm learning and I'm becoming the person that I'm destined to be. And that's where we step into our power, because we're able to mine those experiences from the lesson and potentially disrupt the pattern, right? Learning from the data, learning from the insights, and really with the energy of Gemini Sun trine Pluto, keeping it moving. Like this is an energy, for my comedians out there, where you go through something that's not pleasant, but it turns into a great bit for the set. And you've alchemized that experience and diminished its power over you. Doesn't mean it doesn't hurt when you revisit the memories, but at least you got a funny joke out of it. Or for my writers, when you do that for writing, or like for me, when I share a story in Magic Monday, I believe that if we genuinely listen to one another, we can circumvent so many mistakes or we can learn so many lessons. Again, I am of the belief that we're here to learn certain lessons and have certain growth that we can't necessarily navigate away from. But if there is something that I can share from my own painful experiences or something that you can share from your own painful experiences that we're able to share with one another, and then when a similar situation arises, we have the wisdom or the insight or the perspective in order to make a more intelligent decision. Like that is the purpose of being alive, is being able to connect and like share with one another, which is why I feel like with so much of the cosmos entering Gemini, Jupiter enters Gemini this Saturday, it's important for us to share our perspective. It's important for us to connect with one another, right? To be able to share, hey, I learned this, or hey, this situation was not ideal, but here's what I learned from it. To be able to share from one another. Because if there's one thing that I can say here that prevents you from having to learn a harsh lesson in the way that I did, like that's worthy of my time, that's worthy of my breath, that's worthy of my sharing. And same goes to you. And sharing your story, whether that's, on podcasts or social media or at work or things of that nature, we're here to connect. And it's not just about the highlight reel. Sometimes it's about the deep stuff, right? With the Gemini Sun trining Pluto. So it's energy around seeing our past experiences as simply fuel for becoming the person that we're meant to be and learning the lessons necessary to become the person that we are at this moment. Equally, rather than ruminating and fearing over the future, there's this openness around, hey, I don't know what the future has in store, but I'm open to find out. I am curious and open to find out. Like there's a reason why when we walk into a party and it's lit, there's like this sense of possibility. It's like anything could happen. This night could go anywhere. And would you want to fast forward to the end and know how the cookie crumbled? Like sometimes it's just fun to be in that spirit of possibility. And if you're in a stage of your life where you're like, I don't know where things are going. Like so much is up in the air. I don't know where I'm going to be in a year. I don't know where I'm going to be in 2 years. Obviously, it's natural to be fearful of that around, I don't know where my life's going, but it's exciting also. And like the energy of Gemini Sun trine Pluto is like getting excited about the transformation that is ahead, getting curious around what awaits you. It's like it's natural for us to want to know exactly how things are going to pan out. But that would be like opening a book and going to the end to see how it ends, right? It's fun being in the journey. It's fun being on the adventure and learning the lessons necessary as you go. Like the energy of last week's Mercury square Pluto was kind of anxious about the future, but the energy of Gemini Sun trine Pluto is honoring the lessons you've already learned, the reinvention that you've already learned, the power that you've already excavated within you, and just having the spirit of openness around, hey, I don't know what this night has in store for me. I don't know what this life has in store for me. And that might be something that gives us a lot of fear in some moments, but I would definitely say on Wednesday, see where it is that you can alchemize it into excitement around what the next chapter of your journey will have in store, rather than flipping to the back of the book and wanting to know the ending. It's just this energy around being open to the unfolding of your own story and just honoring where this chapter of your journey is giving you the character development that's setting you up for your transformation and for where things are going. So there definitely is an energy around stepping into our power, but it's not this energy around I am all-knowing. Like the energy of Gemini is very much eternal student. Like Gemini is one of the most intelligent signs of the zodiac, but not because they cross their arms in the corner of the room and are just like, I know everything there is to be known. They are the individuals, at the party who are asking people questions. They are the people who are open, regardless of who it is that they meet, to learn what's it like to be you? Oh, you work there? What's that like? And you can learn something from everybody that you connect with. And it's really this energy around honoring honoring. Like, we will never stop learning in this lifetime. We'll never read all the books. We'll never know all the people. And it's just being open for transformation from that lens around honoring that you are perpetually a student in life school. And life school will definitely humble you every so often, but you're learning, you're evolving, you're growing. Midnight, you're so cute. How do people with cats do anything? Because I just keep looking at Midnight. Midnight's just so cute, and I just want to cuddle with Midnight. And so from a lunar perspective on Wednesday, I do want to say that the Scorpio moon trines Saturn around 3 a.m. So a lot of us may be asleep, but if you happen to be awake, this would be an energy around, grounding yourself down, making a plan. Sometimes Scorpio moon can be a little, paranoid or anything of that nature, and it can be helpful to, honor with the energy of Sun trine Pluto that there's lots in life that you do not know. You do not know where your story's going to take you. You do not know where this party's going to take you. But the energy of Scorpio moon trine Saturn is taking control of the details that you can take control of now. Like, you don't know what the future has in store, but you can control today whether you get a good workout in, whether you make plans with a friend, whether you go for a walk out of work, whether you make yourself a nice meal. It's like feeling a sense of control over controlling the details that you can and potentially releasing the details that you cannot control, because then the Scorpio moon opposes Uranus around 1:23 p.m. So there definitely could be shockwaves, surprises, things that are unexpected. This is the moment in the vibe check where somebody breaks the lamp, right? There's something unexpected that happens. And you also might notice that your emotions feel very erratic or up and down. You might feel a little distracted. There can be technical difficulties. There even just could be random flare-ups of your emotions. Do keep in mind that the Scorpio moon is answering to Mars and Aries. I do use traditional rulerships. And so there can be an energy around feeling something intensely and wanting to react right away. Important to take a breath, calm down. Again, control what it is that you can control, release what it is that you cannot. So, and also I do want to state that the full moon lands very early on Thursday, so you might feel all the full moon feels already bubbling up, and there definitely could be a very passionate vibe. The moon's in Scorpio, and we also have Venus and Jupiter building to align, which is this very indulgent energy. So you could be wanting to, cook delicious food and be around nature and shop. Like, there's definitely this larger than life indulgent vibe coded into Wednesday's astrology as that Venus-Jupiter energy aligns. So on Thursday, May 23rd, before we get into the astrology, which there's a lot happening on Thursday, I just need to ask you, are you sitting down? Do you have something to drink? Do you have something to eat? Because we have so much to discuss. Let's start with the full moon in Sagittarius. This lands at 6:52 a.m. at 2 degrees Sagittarius. So you'll want to see where within your chart has 2 degrees Sagittarius to figure out where there is this lunar spotlight on. And the axis that is highlighted here is the axis of knowledge, essentially. The sun is in Gemini, which is around being open to other people's perspectives, right? It's this energy around the eternal student. Every single person at this party has something that I can learn from. And the energy of the moon in Sagittarius is around your beliefs, your faith, your intuition, what can't necessarily be understood by the mind, but what can be felt by the soul. And with this energy, there's an ask to be open, right? To socialize with people at the party, to be open to other people's perspectives. But at the end of the day, to thine own self be true. Like, you cannot believe every bit of tea that you're hearing at the party, right? You cannot take advice from every single person at this party, right? Someone in the kitchen might ask you to join their band. Somebody, while you're in line for the bathroom, might say that you should quit your job and go join the circus with them. Like, you can't allow every single person to blow you in every single direction. Like, you have to take in the information, but always compare it to your own value system, your own integrity, and the direction that you're moving in life. Like, it's not saying just empower yourself and just be open to other people's opinions and be wishy-washy with it. Like, the energy of the Sagittarius full moon is coming back to your intuition guiding the way. Because honestly, with Jupiter entering Gemini in a couple of days, people might be the mouthpiece of the universe. Like, you might find that the most random person gives you the right advice at the right time, or your social media algorithm serves you up a creator who's exactly who it is that you need to learn from this chapter of your journey. It's like, we need to be open to other people's perspectives, because oftentimes the universe could be trying to reach us via other people and their perspectives and the knowledge that they're sharing. But at the end of the day, we have to come back to discernment, or at least to your own faith or your own intuition. And that's sort of the ask with this axis around where it is that we are open to other perspectives, but where it is that we are being guided by faith. Where it is that we are being open to using our mind and logic to understand our experience, but also where it is that we are feeling deeply guided by our soul. So that's sort of the energy of of the Sagittarius full moon, again, the house that it's landing in will give you more information. But what this axis has in common is that there is this perpetual desire for novelty, for expansion, for growth, for new stimuli, for new experiences, to learn from new perspectives, to take different classes, to travel new places. There's just this desire to expand the horizons of our life. Again, some stuff happened at that party that was great. Some stuff happened at that party that was not so great, but that's what made it a story worth telling and a memory worth recounting. Because we just got out of Taurus season. Don't get me wrong, Taurus season, it was comfy, it was cozy, we were protecting our peace, we were eating good food, we were around nature. But be honest, how many stories do you tell that begin with, well, I was seated on my couch and the delivery food had just gotten there and I was putting on Netflix? Like, oftentimes those are not the stories that we recount. We have stories to tell and we have memories that we've made when we go out and we experience life. And that party wasn't ideal, right? Lamps were broken and drama was had and gossip was flying, but that's what made it so chaotic and so fun, had a story to tell. It's because you were living, you were engaging with life, you were allowing new characters to enter your world, new subplots and new side quests, and you're kind of getting lost in that electric feeling of it all, right? Of this party. Because ultimately, the Sagittarius full moon asks us to view our life like a quest, right? In this journey of becoming the person that we were meant to be, with the soul that we have, with the purpose that we have, and to forgive ourselves for the detours and the deviations. Like, that's what makes a story worth telling, is these detours and deviations. And we don't do ourselves any good feeling like our journey needs to be linear. Like, sometimes we have to go on these side quests of things that don't work out, or people who pull us away from the party, because we have to learn something from that experience. Or maybe it gives us comedic relief, or maybe that person crying at the bathroom, like, we gave a piece of advice that they really needed to learn. Like, yes, it pulled us temporarily off our own goal, but it all enriches the story, it all enriches the quest, and furthermore, it really enriches the soul of you becoming the person that you were destined to be. So please do not view yourself as a failure if your journey has not been linear. If there's been side quests, my love, you are on the quest of your life. So long as there's steady momentum forward, that was all for the plot, okay? Those were all side quests and subplots that are adding context, that are adding comedic relief, that are adding lessons necessary to the journey that you are on. And when we view things big picture like that, we allow ourselves to be more compassionate around the times that we got distracted or we made a mistake or what have you. So long as you are learning from it, and so long as you are continuing to evolve forward, you cannot do life wrong. You cannot do life wrong. That's the energy of the Sagittarius full moon. And the only way that you can do life wrong is when you are doing things out of integrity with yourself. And that's what the Sagittarius full moon asks for, around what are my beliefs, right? What is my soul telling me? It's being open to interesting subplots and, some mischief here and there. But at the end of the day, ensuring that you're going to this next step of your journey with integrity, with soul. And if you've been to a party like this, it's like, it's not a seamless night. There's likely drama and gossip and all of this chaos happening. But it's a story to tell, right? It's an experience to have. And sometimes you have to lose yourself in the chaos of it all, because some of us might have a chaotic week. There might be like a lot going on, right? And sometimes you just have to take a step back around, this will be a story worth telling one day, or this will be an interesting part of my quest, or this is an interesting part of my own adventure. And so aspect-wise, this full moon opposes who it's answering to, which is Jupiter. But definitely gives this very exuberant, hedonistic energy. The Venus-Jupiter conjunction lands on the same day, which we'll chat about in a moment. So there's definitely this larger than life, excessive vibe to this full moon. Like I said, full moons are typically the time when we're having big reactions, we're having big emotions. And keep in mind, this full moon is answering to the largest planet of the solar system. So there's definitely an exaggerated big vibe of this full moon. And there's an exaggerated big vibe to those parties that you go to, where it's like, this is chaotic, this is hectic, this is a lot going on. It's fun, maybe too much fun, with the Venus-Jupiter alignment of it all. And the ruler of this full moon is Jupiter, who is at the anaretic degree. So again, there's this urgency around need to drink all the things, eat all the things, shop all the things. There's definitely this very hedonistic vibe in the air on Thursday, hence why Vibe Check was a party. But there's also this kind of mystical or nostalgic energy also coded into this full moon and into Thursday's astrology, because the ruler of the lunation is sextile Neptune, and the lunation itself trines Neptune. And Neptune in astrology, it governs screens, mirrors, cameras. And it almost gives that energy when you're at a party or you're at an event and you're taking a photograph and you have that awareness around, whoa, this will just be a photograph one day. Like this moment will be gone and I'll just have this photo. Like this will be a memory that I look back on. And sometimes it helps us to think that way, not in this panicked way around, I need to cling to this now, but this energy around, I'll miss this one day, or I'll reflect on this chapter of my life one day. Even if there's parts of it that are very uncomfortable, when we acknowledge that we are on this quest and we are on this growth path, we equally acknowledge like this moment will pass, right? This chapter of my life will be over. Like this particular party, I'll probably never be gathered with this blend of people ever again. And when we can allow ourselves to reflect on, hey, this will be a memory one day, or this is like a chapter of my growth, it allows us to be more present in all of the lessons that we are learning now, while also aware of where it is that we are growing moving forward. Because this is like a little dash of mysticism baked into our astrology, because sextile is a very soft influence. It's an opportunity aspect, so it's not necessarily going to hit us like a lightning bolt, but there's almost just this soft energy around feeling like things are aligning, being very aware of this particular chapter and maybe even being nostalgic around it, or really seeing this like spiritual awareness around seeing where it is that you're learning within this particular chapter, while being excited about what the next leg of the journey will have in store for you. Because truly, my loves, a new chapter is opening up this weekend with Jupiter entering Gemini. And so there's sort of this nostalgic energy around this chapter of your life, this chapter of your growth, and even the past Jupiter and Taurus transit, just taking stock of all that you've learned, good lessons and bad lessons through the past year. And again, seeing the spiritual value of them. Because again, we came here to life school to learn, and life school humbles the hell out of us. Jesus Christ. But with the energy of Jupiter sextile Neptune, it's just this energy around being very aware of where it is that you are growing and evolving as a soul. Like I said, the energy of Gemini, sometimes it's helpful to step out of our situation and just review, hey, my life might be a mess in many instances. This party is a mess. This lamp is shattered. There's many people crying, what have you. But there will be a chapter of my life when things are a lot more settled that I'll miss this chaos or this freedom of this particular chapter of my life. And so also on Thursday, Venus, the planet of love, beauty, money, will align with Jupiter around 1:30 a.m. So you may feel this build on Wednesday and you will feel this separate on Thursday. And what you will feel is this very indulgent vibe, especially with these two gathered at the aneretic degree, which gives us urgent energy. There's definitely this energy around just really wanting to squeeze out every last drop of this particular chapter of your experience. Like it's definitely giving that energy of, a house party, like the last one of summer before everybody's going off to college or something of that nature. A party where it's just like, we've got to make all the memories. We've got to, drink all the alcohol. We've got to do all the things right now. And just like parties like that, and just like life, when we, overspend or overeat, we do pay the price, but there's definitely an energy with Venus Jupiter around just really wanting to enjoy this experience, really wanting to indulge in anything that's pleasing to the eye, that's pleasing to the senses. There's definitely like a flirty vibe in the air. There could be a more expansive energy around love. And like I said, even if at this chapter of your life, you do not feel like there is any romantic love within your world, stay open to the other forms of love that are existent within your world, the platonic love that exists within your world. To an energetic level, when we are looking for love, we are saying it's outside of us. Like, become love. Anchor into what it is that you love. Spend time with people that you love. Tune into the abundance of love that does show up within your world. Same goes with any other Venusian matter, right? Venus is also money. So definitely with Venus Jupiter, we might be a little excessive when it comes to our spending. But there's also this energy around, rather than tuning into the lack around, gosh, I wish I could buy this, or I wish I could buy this. Remember to tune into the abundance that exists around you. And that might be in the little things around, gosh, I'm so grateful I have a meal to eat and a roof over my head and a cat that I get to feed food. It's really tuning into the abundance that exists around you. And there definitely isn't a vibe around wanting to enjoy, right? You might find you're more inclined to want to do beauty rituals, right? This was the energy of why you looked so hot at that party with Venus Jupiter. You could be definitely wanting to, look cute. You could definitely be feeling more flirty. Okay, that was in the vibe check because of this energy, and then Venus entering Gemini later in the day. But you could definitely feel more flirty. You could have a more expansive energy as it relates to love. You could be really in the mood to, feel good, have bubble baths, or, invest in clothes that make you feel good, or do your hair nice, or indulge in makeup. There's definitely this energy around, life is meant to be enjoyed and it's meant to be indulged. And certainly we can't have crazy parties every single day. We can't, go on a shopping spree every single day. But there definitely is this energy of Thursday around just really wanting to maximize this particular chapter of our journey, whatever that may look like. And then shortly after Venus aligns with Jupiter, Venus will sextile Neptune. And this definitely adds a sort of mystical, magical energy over the day. You could definitely feel this energy of witnessing what it is that you're learning of a spiritual variety via the people within your connections. You definitely could be kind of indulging in a little bit of fantasy, right? Like there definitely is something at that party around, I talked to that person and never really went anywhere. And there's always that question around what could have happened. Like that's where mystery gets intriguing around what could have happened, what could have been. And so with the spirit of Gemini season, it's being open to figuring out where this is going to go, right? Like talking to the person at the party and be like, are we just going to be another failed talking stage? Or are we going to go on a trip this summer? Or are we going to get married? I don't know, but I'm open to find out, right? And with Venus sextile Neptune, it's being more intrigued about the mystery of it, right? Of getting to know this person, getting to write the story with someone, right? It's not skipping chapters. Like I was saying earlier, it's just like being excited around where things could go and being curious where things could go with the energy of Gemini season. And definitely there could be some fantasy energy around, fantasizing around what could have been, or maybe you're thinking about your crush a lot. Definitely when it comes to beauty, there could be a little touch of Neptune energy around wanting to come across more like ethereal and kind of like otherworldly, right? Like Neptune's a very glamorous energy. I saw a TikTok the other day, I think it was from Shira7 actually, and she was talking about, how makeup, people can say that it's like fake, what have you, but she was like, but it's you who's creating that look. Like it's coming from your soul. And I loved that perspective because that's how I view getting ready and even putting on clothes and doing our makeup, is that there is this spiritual value to it around you being intentional around how it is that you want to show up, and even the fantasy you're wanting to portray or the vibe that you're wanting to exude. There is something spiritual to be said about the way that we upkeep ourselves and the ways that we present ourselves. And with that being said, random aside, we'll get back to the astrology in a moment, but I just need to say really quick that I am struggling right now because I'm on a trip, and I don't know if you guys are the same, but I very much like to vibe with my clothes and vibe with my makeup. I very much kind of wake up and I'm just like, okay, spirit, what's the vibe today, right? What am I in the mood to wear? What am I in the mood to adorn myself with? Like it really sets the vibe around how I show up, is how it is that I get ready in the morning. And it's so hard packing because I'm like, I don't know what the vibe's gonna be. And for some reason with this trip, my priorities were all out of whack. I clearly brought my ring light, brought all my camera equipment, brought my astrology equipment, brought oracle and tarot cards. But of course I brought like 2 shirts. I brought like not a lot of makeup, so it was so hard getting ready today because I was like, this is not the vibe, but this is all that I have. Struggles. I'm somebody who absolutely dresses and gets ready on vibes, and you may be as well with Venus sextile Neptune. But ultimately, there's an abundant energy with Venus on Jupiter. There's a magical energy with Venus sextile Neptune, and same goes with the two getting together, Jupiter sextile Neptune, around even if things are not aligning as you thought that they would, with Jupiter separating from Uranus, they're aligning exactly as they are meant to with the sextile to Neptune. And it can be hard to work the muscle around believing in that and tuning to the big picture of what it is that we are learning currently in the quest of becoming who it is that we are. But it will make sense in time. It will make sense in time, these detours and these deviations from where it is that you thought that you were going to go. You're on the quest of the soul. And so that energy of Jupiter sextile Neptune exacts around 2:43 p.m. But honestly, that energy is baked into the entire week because these two planets do move so slow. And at 1:31 p.m., Venus will enter Gemini. So this is a shift as it relates to our love language, as it relates to how it is that we could potentially want to spend our money, how it is that we could want to get ready or aesthetically present ourselves. With Venus being in Gemini, the way to anyone's heart is through their mind currently. And you might find with Venus and Gemini, if you've been like kind of burnt out from dating, it's been a lot. With Venus and Gemini, you might find that you're more able to kind of tap into the curious, fun, communicative part parts of dating, around enjoying kind of the mystery of getting to know someone, right? Not needing to go to the end result around, are we going to be together? Is this forever? It's just this energy around, I'm enjoying the process of getting to know you, of, flirting. Like if you know a Gemini placement, their flirt game is like on lethal. They have a great flirt game, and all of us kind of have access to this amazing flirt game with Venus entering Gemini. There could definitely be a vibe around being more curious and being more communicative. Even if you're in a committed partnership with Venus and Gemini, there could definitely be like a little bit more flirty banter. You could be wanting to kind of like learn through your partner. You could want to, have date nights at the museum or learn new things with your partner. There can definitely be a vibe around really wanting to mentally connect with your partner and also just like mentally engage with life. Like with Venus and Gemini, you might be more apt to want to spend money on classes or on books or on experiences where you can learn something. You might find that you're more apt to want to like create more social media content during this time, or you could just be loving connecting with people more. There could just definitely be this energy with Venus and Gemini around wanting to connect. We're getting closer and closer to summer. It's like wanting to unearth your inner social butterfly. So on Friday, May 24th, the moon continues on in Sagittarius all day long. And even though the full moon happened very early on Thursday, you absolutely could still be in that full moon hangover of sorts or recovery of sorts. I think midnight is in that. And be gentle with yourself, because sometimes full moons, yes, are exuberant and indulgent and energized, and we can't sleep and we want to celebrate and enjoy. And sometimes we're wiped. Sometimes we are drained. And that's kind of amplified on Friday because the Sagittarius moon squares Saturn. And like I said, those hedonistic moments, right? That shopping spree, that buffet, that party, we do pay the price for it, right? Whether it's a tummy ache or seeing the number that was taken out of our bank account or feeling the pounding in our head the next day, we do pay the price. And that's sort of the energy of the Sagittarius moon square Saturn, because Saturn is about, consequences. It's around limits. And so there can be an energy with the Sagittarius moon squaring Saturn around just feeling like things are hard or feeling the consequences or the limits of something and feeling a bit defeated. But luckily it does feel somewhat temporary, because after that happens, the Sagittarius moon goes on to trine Mars in Aries. So it kind of gives that energy around like waking up after the party and like you have a pounding in your head. You're like, oh gosh, that situation was awkward. And did I really do that? And all of those things. But with the energy of Sagittarius moon trine Mars, being like, okay, but I'm not going to stay in bed and beat myself up about it. I've got to get moving. Like, let me do something that's going to make me feel better, right? Do I need to go for a run? Do I need to call a friend? Like, how can I move some energy in order to not feel stuck? If you didn't, party or overindulge, you're not just necessarily dealing with the consequences of that. There could be just certain things on Friday that are kind of like crushing your spirit, certain things where you're trying to be optimistic, you want it to work out, and it just didn't. And again, Gemini season asks us to take the lesson and keep it moving, right? Try not to let it crush your spirit. And with the energy of Sagittarius moon then going on to trine Mars, like maybe your disappointment was a certain email that you got or something that you wanted to work out that didn't, or maybe you're just like not feeling great, And with the energy of Sagittarius moon trine Mars, it's like, how can I take action in order to get myself into a better situation, to solve this problem proactively, or to move some energy until I'm in a better emotional space in order to handle the problems within my life, or taking aligned action around what is lighting me up. Like maybe something didn't work out, but with the energy of Sagittarius moon trine Mars in Aries, I'm intrigued by something else that might, right? Like there's an energy around, yes, feeling temporarily defeated or feeling a certain blockage, but also observing where it is that you could switch energy around, okay, a new detour of my quest is emerging. Let me follow what this could have in store. On Saturday, May 25th, headline, Jupiter enters Gemini for a year-long stay. And I do have a dedicated all signs video on Jupiter and Gemini. You'll want to check it out. I'll have it above as well as linked below. And that tells you everything you need to know about this transit, what it means collectively, how you can synchronize with this in order to manifest more blessings within your world, what happened last time Jupiter entered Gemini in recent history, and how we can use that data in order to figure out what may come to the surface within the next year, as well as seeing where within your universe you can expect some more blessings or luck or desire for learning or expansion. So you'll want to check out that video. That'll take you much deeper. But what I want to say here is that Jupiter does not like being in Gemini. And that's important to keep in mind. Jupiter is not dignified here. And so we do need to be realistic about the blessings that we have access to, and also acknowledge that, our manifestations could come to us in a different way than we had expected. Jupiter is now answering to Mercury's, and Mercury is a trickster. And so sometimes there are certain detours that we take that were unexpected. Sometimes there are certain lessons that we need to learn in the process of getting to what it is that we are meant to. You can also find with Jupiter and Gemini, there is like a questioning of certain things. Like you could be contemplating other perspectives. There can be certain beliefs that you've held on to that now with Jupiter entering Gemini, you're open to viewing it in a different way. There definitely could be an energy with Jupiter in Gemini around the universe talking to you via your barista, via your neighbor, via like random small talk interactions. Like once you see that every single person is an avenue for the divine, you begin to see the value that can exist within small interactions. And I know that my channel is full of the deep soul divers who love to have deep conversations about all of the things, but with Jupiter and Gemini, it is an ask to be open to small talk, right? Like you never know when the universe is trying to reach you via your mailman. You never know when the barista will say something profound to you. You never know when striking a conversation with a classmate will lead to the two of you finding out that you have this mutual common interest. Like it's important to be open to connection. And so with Jupiter and Gemini, fortune favors the curious. Stay open, stay learning, stay asking. Fortune favors the connected. Invest in your connections. Be open to make new friends. Indulge in even the small interactions that you have every single day. And fortune favors the comedic. Be willing to laugh at yourself. That's a Gemini season cheat code to life, is being able to laugh at yourself, not take yourself so seriously, take the lesson and keep it moving. If you're sick of crying about it, see where it is that you can laugh about it. You can turn it into a bit. You could turn it into a lesson, turn it into something else. It's going to be helpful during this Jupiter transit to not take yourself so seriously. So check that out. You'll want to see what area of your chart it's transiting through to see where it is that you can infuse it with some luck and learning. And also on Saturday, we have Venus and Gemini trine Pluto and Aquarius. And with Venus and Gemini, like I said, we're wanting to learn a little about a lot. We're wanting to flutter from connection to connection at this party, just connecting with everybody. And with the trine to Pluto, we can find that we actually are able to go deep when we allow ourselves to do that. You might find if you're at a party today or you interact with someone, it might start as a small conversation, but it might evolve into something much deeper. And it's also just appreciating within your connections where there is that level of depth, where you are able to still ask one another questions and meet new sides of their soul. Like that's the energy of Venus and Gemini. Get curious about your partner. Like you might feel like you know them like the back of your hand, but with Venus and Gemini, it's like being open to asking them different questions. And with the trine to Pluto, excavating new sides of their soul, right? This could also be if you're on a date with Venus and Gemini, like getting curious, getting a little nosy around what was your first heartbreak like, or what happened here? How do you feel about this, right? With Venus and Gemini, we're wanting to learn, and with the trine to Pluto, we can really feel like we're able to go deep within these insights, as well as just observing with Venus and Gemini, trine Pluto and Aquarius. Sometimes these interactions, like flirting with that person at the party or what have you, if you're like healing or going through something, sometimes that energy around getting to know someone and asking, okay, where are you from? What do you like to do on the weekends? Like asking all these questions, sometimes it can feel hollow because you're like, oh, I, miss my person, right? Where I didn't have to ask them what their freaking favorite color is, right? Sometimes those things can feel like, hollow, but just honoring that every person is unique and every person is a book waiting to be read, possibility waiting to be explored. Like it's not missing out on the unique nuances of getting to know this person. Just because you're exploring the surface level of this new connection doesn't mean that it can't evolve into something real as your past connection. It's like enjoying the process of getting to know someone, of being curious around someone, and even maybe being open to those moments of chemistry and electricity that make you feel like, wow, maybe a deep connection could be possible. Potentially feeling that rush of chemistry and passion within like a flirty banter and feeling that possibility around, wow, maybe this could, evolve into something. Maybe we could evolve into this deep connection. Like who knows? I'm open to find out. I'm curious to find out with all this Gemini energy, that's for sure. And sometimes even if this person at the party, it just turns into another failed talking stage, or if it turns into this beautiful relationship, sometimes just that awakening of that feeling around, wow, it's possible to have new connections with new people. It's possible to experience new dynamics with new people. Sometimes that can be helpful for our healing journey. And just knowing that beyond even just getting to know new people, you also get to know new sides of yourself. So it's being curious and excited about that process. And so from a lunar perspective, in the morning time, we do have the Sagittarius moon square Neptune at 7:46 a.m. So definitely a sleepy start to the day. You definitely could have had intense dreams that you're processing through, but not processing too long, because then the moon enters Capricorn. So it might be a busy weekend. You might have to handle work tasks and responsibilities and get your ducks in a row with the moon transiting Capricorn. Remember to have fun and socialize with Venus trine Pluto. Can't all be about work and responsibilities. On Sunday, May 26th, the Capricorn moon will trine Mercury in Taurus around 1:46 p.m., making it a really aligned time to, make plans, to connect on logistics, to even just have certain conversations and really just be present within them. That's such a cheat code when it comes to connection. With so much of the cosmos entering Gemini this week, there's a real focus on connectivity. And I know sometimes when you're shy, small interactions can feel quite overwhelming. But the best advice I could give, just even from a social perspective, is just being very present. Sometimes we're so focused on what it is that we're going to say that we forget to just listen. And all this Gemini energy reminds us that we don't learn when we're talking. We only learn when we're listening. And it's completely appropriate within a conversation to take a beat to digest what that person said, and then just be very grounded in how it is that you reply. And that's sort of the energy that we're being asked to have on Sunday, especially since the Capricorn moon goes on to square Mars in Aries that evening at 8:36 p.m. So again, it might be helpful just be very grounded, not allow reactivity or impulsivity to take hold, right? With the two battling, the Capricorn moon and Mars in Aries. Mars in Aries is winning the battle, right? Moon does not like being in Capricorn. Mars loves being in Aries. So while the Capricorn moon, we could be wanting to control our emotional responses, we might find that our impulses are kind of winning out. So important to take a beat. Luckily at 5:33 p.m., so before the square to Mars, we do have the moon sextiling its ruler, Saturn in Pisces, which could help you take a beat, go slow, not allow impulses to guide your emotional responses. And so my loves, that is our week hometown edition, midnight edition. The Magic Monday mantra of the week is, I am an eternal student of life. With so much of the cosmos now in Gemini, it's important to be open to new lessons, open to new perspectives, open to new tests that the universe can bring your way. And when we honor where it is that we are learning, we also honor that we are perpetually in motion. We are perpetually a work in progress. And it allows us to not be so hard on ourselves. Be gentle with yourself in this life school thing, right? This is your first particular life in this assignment, being this particular human with these particular themes. Be gentle with yourself. If you feel like you failed that past test, it's okay. The universe will bring it again. So long as you're learning from your mistakes, so long as you're learning from the detours that aren't so pleasant, so long as you are continuing in that forward momentum of life and aiming to be better than you were before. And we do that when we honor the lessons that are existent now, rather than being shut off to life around, I know that all there is to be known, things are going to go like this. It's just being open around universe. The Sagittarius full moon, I have an arrow and where I think I want to go, I want to get this charger, but I'm open to the detours and the deviations on that path, right, of this pursuit. Because that's where all the fun memories are made, and that's where the true stories come from, is those deviations and those detours. So be open to the lessons, be open to honoring your own eternal student within them. My loves, if you made it to the end of the video, go ahead and comment below the black cat emoji to give a shout out to our co-host, Midnight, who is asleep right next to me and likely is quite annoyed because we are totally scheduled for cuddle time and movie right now, but nevertheless, cat sitting or no, the magic must go on. So if you don't have emojis or you like to play the word game, use the words black cat within a sentence, or just cat, whatever it is that you'd like. My Instagram handle is @HaleyCometAstrology. My TikTok is the same. I would love to connect with you over there. I want to give a warm thank you to Raycon for sponsoring this week's Magic Monday. Please make sure to click the link in my description or use link buyraycon.com/HaleyComet to save 20% off your everyday earbuds. I love these so much, and you'd be supporting the channel if you do decide to invest in your own. Drink lots of water and stay